Alright, yeah, the Oigawa James is nice. It's not like it's a Plarail model, though. Guess what? It really feels like the stars have aligned for this specific release. My favorite Day Out with Thomas event is Oigawa, my favorite Thomas character is James, and my favorite brand of merchandise is Plarail or Trackmaster, and... well, here we are. I say this all the time, but especially this time, I am very excited to get into this review. Now, for those who don't know and may just be seeing a weird James, this is James from the Oigawa Railway, specifically the C56 type James. And being that I'm the cursed Day Out with Thomas guy, I'll be the first to admit, it is the most blessed cursed thing I have ever seen. It doesn't look like James, but in a way, it does. It just feels like James when you see it. The C56 oddly works, even though it shouldn't, if you get what I'm saying. And here we are with the entire model in Plarail, and here we get a pretty good look at what the actual Oigawa James looks like. A front-facing, I guess, render. Kind of similar to how they do the CGI-styled boxes. They have this right here, but it's... I want to say this box isn't as decorative as a normal Thomas box. And I guess to me that's just a little bit weird, seeing as this was a limited release. You'd think they'd do a little bit more to make it stand out. This looks more like a typical Plarail packaging than it does anything else. That said, it is still very catching. It's just not as, I guess, fitting when you put it next to other Thomas boxes. For example, here's the Percy box, and this just has more vibrance than this does. And I guess that's a little bit surprising to see, but it's not like it takes away from the model. It just is something I think Plarail could have done a little bit better. Let's take a closer look at the specifics though. We have this is a different Plarail logo here. I'm not exactly sure what it says, but it does have the little figure there. The bottom has a side render of the Oigawa James, so you can get a better idea of what he's supposed to look like, and a picture of the model. Now, this one comes with a Oigawa coach, so that'll make 3 of those. So he'll have a proper rake and something to do. The top also has a side render, more of the same logos, and my favorite bit, the back, which shows you how to put the battery in James. And interestingly, he kind of looks like, it looks like you put a battery in him the same way you do the Oigawa Thomas or a C12. And just looking at this has me so excited to actually open this thing and get my hands on it. So I think that's enough about the box. This part here, if you can even see it, also shows the side of James, but that doesn't matter much. Let's just take a closer look at this guy. Alrighty. That open here, and here he is. Oh boy, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the Oigawa James. Now, I still have to get him out of this plastic bit, so let's go ahead and do that, but oh, this is gonna be a fun review. What is this? This is, oh wow, that comes with a little card. I guess a character card? This is not something I've ever seen with any other Plarail pack ever, so this is super unique. I like this. It's the same thing we saw in the box, just separate, I guess, for if you want to display it with the model, which is something I might do if I ever take this to, say, a train show or something. So that is super cool to see. And of course the instructions, which thankfully we don't need thanks to the box. And let's go ahead and get into James. Gonna do my best to be as careful here as I can. All right. Oh boy, okay, and there is James, and let's get out this coach, clear everything up. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the Oigawa James, and this is just immediately so much more than I thought it was gonna be. The detail on this thing is very unexpected. I don't know if you can see it so well on the camera right now, but on the boiler there is so much molded detail. Interestingly, the tender does not come off like I thought it would. It's not a separate piece. It is one of these unified pieces that will keep the entire thing together. And it doesn't look like there's a wire that runs inside of the tender either, so thankfully you don't have to worry about that becoming severed or messed up at any point like you did with Trackmasters. Even the tender front has some molded detail, as you can see there, and so does the back of James's cab, which I'm not gonna lie, I did not expect. The back of the tender has just as much detail too. I guess the only nitpick I can really give is His front lamp is painted, but the one on the back of his tender isn't, but that's a super easy fix for me at least. The face looks phenomenal, everything else is there. The tender does feel a little small, but proportionally the model is sound. The coal load inside of him looks a little different from, say, a normal Plarail coal load. That looks a lot more realistic than I think a normal one would. It's just so unique. It's so different when you put it next to, say, a normal Trackmaster or Plarail James. It feels weird, but it also feels right. Just like the actual Oigawa James, so they nailed it. Props to Plarail. Unlike Thomas, he actually has some buffers that stick out and protrude a little bit from the body, but that is not shared with the back of the tender, and I'm not sure if that's accurate to the Oigawa James. I'll have to double check that. That aside though, this is just so cool. It's so fun to see something like a Day Out with Thomas rendition of a character be made into a toy. But we can't just talk about James, let's also talk about this Oigawa coach, which honestly is pretty standard. I don't think there's much to say about it. I'm pretty sure this is just a normal Plarail coach, but molded in a orange livery rather than a brown one. That said though, one of the things I've always liked about these is, again, the amount of detail they have on them. If you look in the doorways, you can see the doors have detail, the ones on the back and the front of the coach do as well. And probably my favorite part, the top of the coach has a textured roof. Altogether, it's a nice coach. There's just not a lot to say about it. It's pretty standard. Personally, I would have preferred if they put, say, like a Oigawa Troublesome Truck in there or something a little more unique, but I understand why they did something like this. It's just easier. That, and when you've already taken your C56 and I guess butchered it or modified it enough to be this thing, you're probably not worried about a troublesome truck as much. I'm just happy we got this. And just for fun and because I was curious, here is this guy next to my custom Trackmaster James, and that is a hell of a size difference. It looks like the locomotive portions are pretty similar, but the tender is... That's crazy to me. This very much exemplifies how tiny this thing feels. Now, this can be attributed to the fact that this is, you know, a separate coupling and this is barred to James, but even then, let's line these two up. Just look at that. That's close to 2/3 of what this tender is. It just feels cute. And to be fair, when you look at the actual Oigawa James, that is pretty accurate. It's a very tiny tender anyway, so it's not like they're being unfaithful to the actual thing. It's just very shocking to see next to something a little bit more casual, or that I'm used to, I guess. Now, all of that aside, I really don't think there's much more or else to say. This model is a lot more than I was expecting. I thought it was going to be just a normal C56, just repainted, maybe retooled a little bit. This knocked any expectation I had out of the park. If you want, you can detail it a little bit more, maybe fill in these windows, again, paint the back lamp white, and those are things that I might do. If you want to see those, be sure to comment down below, and I might make a video upgrading this thing too. But yeah, this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Oigawa James. In my opinion, probably one of the coolest releases of James they've ever done, and probably ever will do. And with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time we finally get this guy a battery and see him run.
That gave me a heart attack.
Either subscribe, donate, or get the fuck out.